In this episode of My Mic Sounds Nice, we discuss the murder of Takeoff from the Migos in Houston and the self-inflicted career destruction of Brooklyn Nets Kyrie Irving. Then we close things out with the Robinson Report.
Welcome to My Mic Sounds Nice, a freestyle conversation about health, relationships, and culture. I am one of your hosts, Tim, always glad to be in the building.
Welcome to My Mic Sounds Nice. This is Kevin, a.k.a. Reggie Jacks, coming from the warm, sunny Bronx. Welcome.
My mic sounds nice. This is Aaron from Long Island. Joe Buttons, Rory and Mal, breakup. Math Hoffa, Heineken, breakup. What's my man's name? Disa Samiro, breakup. I'm stuck with you two. I don't care if we make $1 million. The rest of Lufire kick our butt, make sure we stay together. So, good morning, my brothers.
Oh, yeah. Good morning. Without a doubt. Yeah, we would definitely. This show will go before we go.
No doubt. As Akinelli said back in the day, that song, ain't no exits.
No doubt. Yep. Just arguments, but we ain't going nowhere.
For real, for real.
It'll be 3 different versions as to what happened to the show, but we'll still be together so everybody can hear each other's side of the story.
we couldn't even be like, yo, it's over. The crew would be like, meeting. Meeting.
Nope. Nobody told y'all 3 whatevers to try to do a show anyway.
Exactly. Oh man. Yeah, man.
How's everybody doing, man?
Yeah, doing all right. You know, we rolling in here into the fall season, coming up on the holiday season, but things are going pretty well. You know, work is consistent.
Yeah, work is consistent. We're getting back busy. Things are opening up. Hopefully, there's not a winter surge that tries to shut us back down. But definitely think things are going good. Trying to hold on to the euphoria of the new house, even though every once in a while you got to deal with you lose because you got the new house blues. But I'm trying to maintain the remix.
Yeah.
Like it's party time. Shout out to T. Lee, 25th anniversary. Yeah.
That only lasts in the beginning, man. And you're heading into the fall season, probably the worst time of the year to own a home. So just don't think if the winter's rough, if you find the house drafty or things of that nature, just know that only lasts for 3 months, man.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, I'm trusting. So
yeah,
because otherwise I got a whole lot of people with y'all at the top of y'all ain't tell me this, y'all ain't tell me that. You said you loved me.
How'd you let me do this?
Exactly. Because everybody's been Team Vanessa at the expense of your boy.
Yo.
I digress. It's November, man. It's Hip Hop History Month.
Yes.
So, we're gonna, before we get into our topics, and that's an emotional ride, man. But in celebration of Hip Hop History Month, I have a question. In the spirit of the brown sugar question, when did you fall in love with hip hop?
Kev.
Man, it's been so early. I don't even remember the song. I was at this block party. I couldn't have been. This is before Sugar Hill Gang. I was at this block party and this song was playing, and I didn't quite recognize what it was. And then my sister was like, "You hear that?" It's like, "Yo," she's like, "Yo, that's a rap song." And I was like, "Huh?" It's like she's like, "That's not somebody talking. That's somebody like rapping over music." And I think kind of at that moment that was kind of the beginning. By the time I found Mr. Magic on was it WHBI in '81 when I found the Magic Show before he moved to BLS, spending some time in Brooklyn with my uncle, that's when I really, really fell in love with it. It was over.
Yo, it's funny because that question really makes me think. And while I love Rapper's Delight, I love Curtis Blow, I loved all of the underground radio shows, I loved Run DMC, I loved breakdancing and popping in my basement, I had turntables. I still think all of that was just me as a kid, and that was life as a kid. You know, so I'm saying a good 5 years of hip hop, I was, you know, I was in it, I was dedicated, but it was just life. But when did I fall in love? I think when I heard Roxanne, Roxanne, you know, and I had been listening to hip hop like years by then, but like that just took me over the top where I was just consumed.
Those drums.
That and believe it or not, another song that kind of like just validated my feelings was Last Night by Kid and Play. You know, like, and you know, and I know these are later songs, but like where it became, yo, I like doing this, to I love this art form where I'm consumed completely. I went years probably before I got there. And don't get me wrong, I liked it a lot, but I mean, just like what Tim's talking about, that consuming
love,
feeling.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you know, I like both of you all. I mean, we all are 68 babies. I think for most of us, we were involved with it before we really knew what this was, in the sense of it being a culture and a phenomenon. Like, I'm like you, Rapper's Delight, it was seminal, but it wasn't, oh, this is earth-shattering to me. King Tim the Third, and that was only because his name was Tim, had me. I remember me and my friend used to play Curtis Blow's The Breaks over and over again.
Yes,
but if I
yes.
had to say where it became love, it was Sucker MCs. It was because the way that song sounded at
So
the
different.
Park Jam, and there was nothing like it before it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so to be that bam, 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 and then honestly, the fact of you hearing rhymes that really I could relate to, where he's talking about, and after 12th grade, I went straight to college. And I was in middle school, and by that time, my mother told me I was going to college.
Yeah.
So to me, it was Sucker MCs and everything around it, because you began to see the visuals and the jam that I really began to fall in love. But I'll say even more, that love got cemented coming to Howard University.
Oh,
Like,
yes. Yes.
so, you know, whether you remember, well, in the spirit of Slick Rick, Run DMC had me as a teenage love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That love became grown, where I wanted to go down the aisle and be like, you know, I'm gonna love you for life. Like that, the Jodeci song was being at Howard. No Tricks in '86. Go Stetzer. I mean,
it's funny.
Daddy Kane, so EPMD, like, so the love was progressive. Like, there was levels.
It's funny you said that, because I was a little hesitant to say, because I was like, I'm gonna sound crazy saying '86.
Because you're gonna be like, oh, you sound mad late, but
but honestly, Eric B and Rakim, My Melody, and Eric B as president, and witnessing a whole campus of students being overwhelmed by it on the yard or at a party. And that was, once again, I think the thing that ties it into him is those are all moments that you and I mentioned where they were songs that never sounded like anything else. Sucker MCs didn't sound like anything else. Roxanne didn't sound like anything else. Even Last Night, if you think about, like, no one was really telling stories like that, like Last Night.
You know, Kid and Play don't get their props. They don't get their just due.
Yeah, because that was a straight street anthem. Like, whatever you think of Kid and Play, when Last Night was playing, no one thought that of Kid and Play.
Yeah.
And obviously Rakim has been one of the most transformative figures ever in hip hop, in his rhymes. You know, I always talk to you guys about those young cats who go back and listen to old hip hop music. And I was watching this week. I wish, next time I'm going to give them a proper shout out, the name of their clique, because they got a cool YouTube channel. But they listen to Eric B. and Rakim, I Ain't No Joke. And they were like, yo, like, this guy sound like he's rhyming right now. And if you think about it, the skill level of Rakim is equivalent to any skill level of anybody rapping right now. And that was 1986.
Yep. But you were going to say something, Kev?
Yeah, so, I'm going to make an ignorant confession because, we know I wasn't the brightest youngster in the world.
You? Nah.
Yeah, I made a lot of bad choices in life. One of the reasons why I chose Howard in D.C., and I told multiple people this, so if I didn't tell them, I definitely told it in my head. I wanted to be close enough to get back to New York so I could record on the weekends. That's a fact.
Like, yo,
that's love, me. That's love.
And for y'all that aren't from New York, on the weekends, back when hip hop wasn't played on the radio, back when we were young, there was no hip hop during the daytime.
Yep.
You could only record, 10 to 1? 9 to 1? Yeah. 9 to 1. It was 9 to 1 on WBLS or
Kiss.
Or Kiss. Yeah, right.
Shout out to Red Alert. Cool.
Shout out to Red Alert.
DJ Red Alert.
But sometimes you could turn on Kiss and it wouldn't be Red Alert or Chuck Chill Out. You end up with the Latin Rascals. Club music. And you'd be like,
Yeah, you'd be like, Yeah. Or Red Alert. Or Red Alert played the song, the show from last week.
Yeah.
And because you recorded it, you're like, next gonna be so-and-so song. You're gonna play this next. And you'd be like, come on, Red, give me a new show, man.
Yes, because you had to record the shows. There was no streaming, people.
Yeah. The funny thing is, we were complaining Red was probably out actually at a party DJing. Yeah. I used to consider it lazy back then. Yeah. But if you think about it, he probably was working.
He was making money on top of things.
Yes.
Oh, man. But, just wanted to break the ice a little bit. And throughout our shows in November, we will continue to just highlight hip-hop history. And we're not doing it to try to position ourselves as experts, but we are positioning ourselves as being blessed to be in a position where we really grew up with this culture. That there's a lot of people who are into hip hop that aren't in our age bracket where these moments directly tie with passages of our growth. Yeah, be like, we can only say No Tricks at 86, it's time to build because we're the class of 86. So it hit different and things like that. So, that's our Hip Hop History Month moment. We invite you in the comments section when you listen to the show. Share when you fell in love with hip hop. If you say something that we feel is awesome, we might share it in future shows. And, let's keep the ball moving.
No doubt.
All right, so we're going to start off with some very unfortunate news again in hip-hop. It's happened again. The Migos, they lost one of their members, Takeoff, to gun violence in Houston. He attended a party with Quavo and was shot shortly after a dice game with Jay Prince and some other people, Jay Prince Jr. and some other people in Houston. I know we're definitely kind of sick and tired of this the same cycle of violence that we continue to see. I don't know, you guys got any comments on it? It was kind of rough looking at it on, the whole social media take on it and everything.
Yeah, I'll just say for me, this past week, I found out about Takeoff being murdered by my son sharing a tweet. And that was how I found out. And I know we're talking about Takeoff and want to give him his respect. But then I got a tweet yesterday that there was a New York drill rapper named E. Baby who died from a self-inflicted gun wound. And as we're celebrating hip hop, it really hurts because if my son was on with two of his best friends, would they be able to talk about hip hop in the way that we can talk about hip hop? Because just in his span, there has been so much death and killings in just his 23 years of life, and even the latter years that would fall under the umbrella of rappers dying.
Yeah. No, I think that's really true, Tim. I think there are reasons for that, which I'll get into a little bit later. But first thing, I really am compelled to really say something positive. I've never listened to Migos music. I've never been a Migos fan. The only reason I listen to the music is, for the show today. Not that I had never heard some of their songs, because obviously I did. But the one thing I really appreciated about the Migos, which I thought I had never seen in hip hop really before, is that when they came out, their rap ability was poor. They were not a talented rap group. But from Bad and Bougie to their next project, they said, they had all this talent. They had this one hit. And they went back in the lab and said, and I heard them say it in interviews, we knew we had to get better. And what I appreciated about them is that they got better as a group. They recognized the situation they were in. They recognized the opportunity, and all three of them got better. And not saying that they ended up being Rakim, but they respected the art form. And that's all I've ever wanted anybody, I don't care what generation you are, respect the art form. And I appreciated Migos for that. This thing with Takeoff breaks my heart because it's always the person minding their business. It's always the person that don't start trouble. It's always the person that everybody likes. That's the person that gets hurt. And for people to walk over a dead or a person dying, with disdain and go straight into street mode, for people to record somebody, like your instinct, the person dying on the floor, your instinct is to record it above all else. And then not maybe record it, but then on top of that, post it. So you could be the one with the footage. I think it really shows where we are as a society and what we value and what is important to us. And it's scary.
I'm going to say, as far as the footage, I detest the recording. I don't like it. I think that because so many people have cameras in their hands, that's why as a society we think that there's so much violence and things out there. But the reality is, if it was NBC with a news camera out there filming it, you wouldn't be, there wouldn't be as much anger as much as, oh, this is not right. Some of the filmings of things, the things that we get to see, unfortunately what happened, to George Floyd, that filming is what allowed it to see. So I understand why people want to film. I don't like, unfortunately, it came into my world. When I first saw it, I saw it on Twitter and I started streaming, and bam, there it is. There's the video of him, and with all of the gore that exists. I didn't want to see that. I don't need to see any scenes like that. But unfortunately, I didn't even have a choice. It was just there. And, so I covered it real quick and kind of continued on. And I think that one of the issues I see is that we continue to see this violence. We watch Black people die. We watch Black death, and it's normal. It's normal. And
to your point, the Migos as a group were definitely, and still are definitely, cultural figures. Their impact in Atlanta and beyond, the actually connection between them, in particular in the NBA, was something that is
Yeah.
very evident, and even to the point where the NBA was taking a pause to show respect to Takeoff. Just getting tired of seeing brothers and sisters lose their lives in their 20s. I mean, having conversations in schools with young people who, based upon the cameras, so that, like you said, it can make you think that, it's happening so much more than it was happening previously. But the fact is that we're seeing it more, and there is an effect to seeing this.
Absolutely.
And so if you think about young people consistently seeing this, what hope would they have to see themselves past 30 if the majority of the reflections that they're seeing of themselves are death before that point? And so it's that. You have these subgenres in hip hop. I think it would be hard pressed to find a time where death has been more profitable.
Yeah.
In the sense of whether it's your lyrics or just your retweets, your streams, because
your posture.
because if it wasn't as popular as it is, would it be as shown as prevalent? And definitely understand that there's certain times seeing it is what causes the action, because Mamie Till, by showing her son, sparked a movement. When Emmett Till was brutally murdered, there wasn't social media, but her act is an act that is similar to what is happening in social media. That we don't have 2020 if that young lady didn't film George Floyd being murdered. You just don't. Because so just looking at it. So now the question is, we're seeing this and we're continually seeing it. Where's the tipping point? Where is seeing something drive us to action versus seeing something making us numb to what it is of the full impact that we're actually seeing?
I
think one of the issues is I think for young people and with social media, how it's kind of just glorified, it's kind of put out there. And I don't know if there's this closeness and this distance to death, where it's close, where you might know the person, but there's distance because it's behind the camera and you see it so often, where it's like the reality of it is it feels different. Like you might feel like, oh, I was there, I saw it, but it's different than actually witnessing or seeing a person that has been killed. I'm thinking over the summer, this youngster was killed. I forgot, the Brooklyn Joe rapper Naughty, and they have this thing called the Naughty dance, what kind of went viral. And if you went on Instagram in the past, I don't know, a couple of months or so, you would see people doing this Naughty dance where they're stabbing, and the dance is the version of this kid being stabbed, and that's the dance. And you can see police officers, you see all types of people doing this dance. There's just this. For some reason, there's a disconnect between it, and I don't know. So I think social media just continues to feed that,
and that's really why I take issue with the filming, and I think it's in no comparison to George Floyd, or in comparison to NBC, because George Floyd, we're witnessing an attack over 9 minutes. We're witnessing somebody being attacked over 9 minutes, as opposed to by police, and we know we have police brutality as a problem in the country. So filming that makes sense. That doesn't feel like, hey, let me get this footage. That feels like, yo, I'm witnessing a crime. Whereas Takeoff being shot in the head and leaking blood as he dies feels a little different to me. And somebody at NBC is at work. And I've witnessed reporters put down their microphones and put down their cameras and aid people in a hurricane and things of that nature, where there's a line where, hey, I'm going to stop what I'm doing because that's secondary to this person needing aid. And I think that desensitized feeling that you're talking about, Kevin, is what allows these kids to just say, hey, I'm just going to film. And I'm going to be the first to post it. I can't wait to post it. I can't wait for people to see what I caught. And I think we're caught up in that as a society.
Yeah.
You know,
the usage of it is hugely problematic based upon what you're saying. Because
it's not like, let me give this to the cops.
I was about to say, it's not as if we're filming so that justice can be levied. Yeah.
You know, I do think that we're seeing more because in 1995, the rapper who's in this neighborhood and is getting some buzz doesn't have social media platform, doesn't shoot videos easily. He's just in his neighborhood with a little buzz. If he gets killed, none of us know about him. In 2022, that rapper got a channel. He's recorded songs on his phone. His friends have made videos, whether it's with his iPhone or not. And then when he gets shot, we're like, X rapper died. And it does, it makes it seem worse than it is. But the problem is what you said, Tim. We're seeing that violence because that rapper in 95 that got killed, we didn't see him die, you know, or we didn't even really hear about him dying because no one, you know, it was just a death in the neighborhood type of thing. Yeah. Whereas we're seeing it, we're hearing it, we're inundated with it. So I think that point you make is really key.
Because they're also, and at a minimum, what was neighborhood for us at a minimum is national.
Yes.
And there is a valuing within a community that's subjective. Like the murders of Tupac and Big shook us and the culture to its core.
Absolutely.
And those are two like monster names.
Yes.
But in a truncated time span, there is such a list. And for the core of that community, King Von is that. Young Dolph is that. Yep. Nipsey is that. Pop Smoke is that. Yep. And then you think, the drill scene. Yeah. So think of the names that can be listed regardless of positioning of record sales. And then when you add in the deaths due to drug overdoses and your Juice WRLDs, your Mac Millers, it's just a lot in
it's almost
a
monthly
time span that is much shorter than the time span if you're looking at death within the community of hip hop a generation ago.
It's almost monthly.
Yeah.
You know, so I was just looking back. I was looking at a couple of different deaths. So September 8th, Duke the Jeweler. The dude was shot and killed at a Boosie concert. He was robbed after winning a dice game with Jay Prince Jr. in Houston. September 12th, we got PNB Rock, who was killed at Roscoe's in L.A.
Robbery.
And we got Takeoff being killed after a dice game with Jay Prince Jr.
Okay. We're not going to touch that piece, but
I will say there are pictures of some of the same people on the scene in both of those.
Yeah. Yeah. That has been a.
Did anybody see Hip Hop Homicides? With Van Lathan?
I saw the clip. I didn't see the whole thing.
I actually watched it last night. The first one was on Pop Smoke.
It started on Sunday, right? It premiered Sunday.
I think this past week was the initial episode. Whichever day it started, it's one episode in.
Because I saw that channel gets clips. So I saw like a 10-minute clip, a preview, a week before. Yeah. But I didn't see the whole thing.
So this was on Pop Smoke, Kev?
Yeah, they did Pop Smoke. and talked about it, and it's it was interesting. I wasn't sure where it was going to go because typically I don't like those type of things because I feel like they just kind of continue to glorify. But it did. It took a look at it. It had his mother. They talked about the incident, what happened, interviewed some people. They tried to make it almost 2020 investigative like, but
yeah. The crazy thing is that Pop Smoke, he wasn't even around for a long time, but his influence, his impact, in a very short period of time has been massive.
I even think he had a year.
Yeah.
I mean, Welcome to the Party was that summer, right?
I've gone back and listened. I mean, sadly, there are a number of artists that I tend to hear after they die. And then you're listening and in some instances just trying to understand. But we've all been around this music enough. We've all wrote about it, talked about it. We're all major sports fans. Pop Smoke had that it factor.
He was next.
It's not tangible from a quantifiable standpoint, but you can hear it and feel it. Yeah. And not that any death would ever be dismissed, but it just hurt because I'm thinking like, man,
he could have been.
He was 20.
He's a star.
And he was smart. 50 Cent said I'm sorry, I know you.
Go ahead. Yeah, finish your point. Go ahead.
50 Cent was like, he came to see me in the office and we talked, and the whole time he's in his phone while I'm talking to him. So like I'm feeling some kind of way. He said I walk around the desk. He's taking notes. He's taking notes of what I'm saying. This guy was like, he didn't just have the talent; he had the intellect to be the next one.
And for me, to that point, it's okay. He's caught up. He's caught up in everything that he's caught up in, but he just had it there. And what happens if, by God's grace, he had the opportunity to evolve and grow out of that? Where was he going to take the people? Like we will have those what if. Like what would a 50-year-old Pop be like? What would a 50-year-old Big be like? Truthfully, what would a 35-year-old Pop or Big have been like? And we could just use our lives, what conversations when we were that age are not the conversations that we're having today, being in our 50s. But you could hear it with Pop Smoke in a way that's like, man, such a lot. I mean, think about Nip. It's just, it's just a tragedy all around, and all of us are connected to education in different ways, and I feel like that's where you really feel the heaviness. I feel like as adults, we can get the Twitter feed and feel some way like, oh man, another one. But I challenge you, if you have a connection to a school, go talk to some of these young people and see, because they really are grieving and they really don't know how to process just having a hope for life when all they see is life ending.
Yeah, I mean, I was in my 20s when Big died, and I felt like I was lost. I was lost as an adult. So I didn't have the am I gonna live or what will life be for me aspect. Yeah. But I was just disillusioned.
No,
so I could imagine a child.
I mean, cause you think about it, and what a great way to end that, to bring this segment to a close, that Pop dying in 96, we're turning 28. Big dying in 97, we're turning 29. Think about where we were in our lives, and it shook us to our core. There was a level of feeling like, yo, where's the culture going, and therefore where are we going? Imagine a 6-month span where Pop and Big got murdered and we were in 10th grade.
Yeah.
When Pac died, we went to this music conference in Miami about 2 weeks later. And I remember my sister saying to me, like, listen, she's like, I know you friends with Puff. Don't hang out with Puff. And I needed her wisdom to tell me that, because I would have hung out with Puff. So we down in Miami, right, hanging out with Puff, and at one point, I'm like, yo, I'm up high in the club. I need to move away from him. Like this ain't smart. It hit a little late. Like I said, I could be a little slow at times, but you know. But yeah, so I'm just talking about like the fear that we had around a death.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine like for young people.
And Kev, to that point, and definitely we're going to wrap it, but it's a great point to wrap it on. Like your sister was able to tell you, be mindful around hanging with a particular person who was kind of a lightning rod, perception wise in that, but you all had to go to a conference where you could hang out with him. Imagine when it's happening in your communities almost every day, because then she can't be like, well, don't go to school, don't go to the movies, don't go to the mall, don't hang out with your friends, because it's happening with and think about it, we're talking about it because of the popularity of who Takeoff was. Sadly enough, throughout this week, from his murder to when we're taping this show, how many communities have had someone be killed where then an older sister is giving that advice, but it's not based on you traveling to an event cross states and hanging out with someone who has celebrity status? That would be like, yo, be careful hanging around Aaron. Like, yo, that's my brother. I talk to him every day. That's almost like, yo, tell your left side, watch your right side. So it's totally different. And whatever we can do to try to bring some life and bring some hope in this situation, I hope that we use this time to really lift hip hop in a way that people can experience hip hop in the way that it was designed and created, which was bringing life and not the promotion of death. But rest in peace, rest in power, praying for the family and everybody directly and indirectly involved, praying for justice without more violence. And, we're going to continue to move forward. So, but great peace. Now let's go into the self-destruction. You're headed for self-destruction.
Yeah, keeping with the hip-hop theme, you were headed for self-destruction. Kyrie Irving, point guard from the Brooklyn Nets, has had better weeks. I'm going to quote Funkmaster Flex at this party we were at in Miami. Like, New York, you came down here to bring your foolishness. Kyrie says, after posting a link to a documentary on Amazon that contains anti-Semitic rhetoric, he faced a public backlash that ultimately led to a minimum 5-game suspension. Everybody's coming down. Without pay. Minimum. It could be, it's indefinite, but it's a minimum of 5. Is this the end of Kyrie?
Let's go to Aaron, our sports psychologist, analyst, expert, plug one. What say you, bro?
What would you say that question again, Kev?
So do you think this is the end of Kyrie? There's a bunch of larger issues that we're going to get into. But I want to start a warm up, give you something simple.
Yeah. Slow pitch.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think it should be if we really do what the Anti-Defamation League is saying, where we educate each other and have conversations and hear each other. It shouldn't be. Yeah. But when you have reporters out there trying to give this story legs, really not necessarily caring about anti-Semitism or anything, but are just trying to put the battery in the back. Like, you go in and you ask LeBron, why aren't more NBA players, standing against Kyrie? So he thinks that, DeMar DeRozan should be after a Chicago game, sweating. Oh yeah, I had 23 points today. And yeah, by the way, Kyrie, I don't stand with that. him being posting that video was terrible, and I don't believe in anti-Semitism, and he should be punished. Like, if that would, like, why are you asking LeBron that? And why, of all people, why didn't you ask Russell Westbrook, or why didn't you ask Obi Toppin on the Knicks? You asked LeBron James because he's the number one player in the league, and if you can get a quote, you can get another story. And that's not really caring about the horror.
Why didn't you ask Luka Doncic?
Yes, that's the horror of.
Ooh.
Wow! Shots fired.
Ooh.
Shots fired.
Oh.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Reggie Jackson's in the building. I'm not
For
even
real.
calling you Kev. Yo, that is so layered right there.
Yes, and it's true. I guarantee you, Luka won't be asked that question. So I don't know that we're in a search for truth. I don't know if we're in really caring about anti-Semitism and the true dangers of it. I don't think that's the space we're in. I think we're in a space where we want our pound of flesh in this country when somebody does wrong. And that doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, the one point that was brought up in processing this that I found really interesting, and to your point, that like, okay, Kyrie, he retweets or posts the reporters. So if that's the spark to the flame, the reporters are definitely bringing gasoline and fans.
Mm-hmm.
Who has now has never been mentioned in unscathed. Amazon is caking up.
Yep.
So you suspend the person who put the spark. But now this film is number one being purchased on Amazon.
It's 12.
I originally thought that it was, a film that might have been independent released, and I didn't realize that it was something that was on Amazon until I saw someone post well, when is somebody going to pressure Amazon to take it down and Jeff Bezos to not make money off of it? And I was like, yo, like in the words of KRS and our hip hop theme, well, why is that?
I believe, Kev, what I say was $12.99 to rent and $49 to buy.
What is it, from Negroes to what?
From Hebrew
to Negroes.
Hebrews to Negroes. Yeah, but I thought that was a insightful question, because if it really is about squashing out hate, and you say this film has all of this anti-Semitic themes in it, well then Amazon, take it down.
So the craziness, right? This book right now has 4.5 stars. It's selling for $27 on Amazon.
And the book, the quotes that I've seen from the book, I think Rolling Stone has some quotes from the book, are clearly anti-Semitic. But what I've heard, and because I haven't watched the film, is people say the film is based upon a book that says anti-Semitic things. Does the film say anti-Semitic things? Or is it just based upon that book that was anti-Semitic? Because if you listen to what Kyrie said on that original Saturday night, and I just read it again, which is why I asked you to repeat the question again, Kevin, because he says, I went to look up what Yahweh meant, because that's what my name means in Hebrew. I put in Yahweh in the search engine at Amazon, and this is what came up. And then I shared it with folks. He never at any point says he watched it. Never at any point does he, in that original. Now maybe he did and he left it out, but it sounds like he saw it. Hebrews to Negroes. That sounds like something that along Kyrie's beliefs, because if most people don't know, Kyrie generally believed that he's a Semite. Kyrie believes that, black people are the original Hebrews. Now, he could be wrong about history all he wants, but that doesn't mean that you're anti-Semitic. That just means you have a wrong belief about about history. Or, you know.
Yeah, and just for context for our listeners, like the definition of Semite is a member of any of the peoples who speak or spoke a Semitic language, including in particular the Jews and Arabs.
Yes. And Kyrie believes he's a Semite.
And that's from the dictionary of Oxford Dictionary.
And that is why he, when asked, is he anti-Semitic, and everybody likes to make a big deal out of this, and the reporters are trying to imply that he has a problem with a particular community, are missing the larger point of what's going on. I don't have a problem with Kanye West getting the business. I don't even have a problem with asking Kyrie Irving to make it clear that he doesn't hold anything against any people. The only problem with that is he did that on the original Saturday night. He did that. He has done that in every interview. I don't hate anyone. You know, I don't have a problem with any oppressed community. So I don't.
But they're pressing past that because they're pressing him, wanting him to say that he doesn't have any anti-Semitic views.
Yes.
Which to me goes past what you were saying to expressively say, I don't hate, have ill will against any population of people because at some point I could have a belief that's my belief, but if you deem that belief to be anti to you, am I supposed to just automatically let go of my belief without us having a conversation?
I find this. One is Kyrie to me. He's like kind of having this emerging consciousness, right? So he's kind of on this path where he's learning things. You know, as Black people in this community, we're giving bad information, misinformation from public schools, from the people that are supposed to give us the stuff. Like,
and no information.
Yeah, and no information. So when you go out there, you start finding information. It's like this big awakening. Oh my God! Like I could bring up the Tulsa massacre. I didn't learn about the Tulsa massacre until I stepped foot on Howard's campus. A larger society didn't learn about it until it was in the HBO show, The Watchmen.
Yes.
And then the 100th anniversary. Now everybody knows about this. I'm saying, but that was something that was known within the Black community, but was hidden, wasn't out there. And so when you continue to find out these types of information, you just start looking for more and more. And it's very easy to believe things. Some things may be true, some things not be true. But as you're going on this path, you kind of find ways to develop this. Now, my issue with all of this is Kyrie tweeted out this movie, and it was his youth and his hubris, which did not allow him to apologize and say, you know, I should not. I use my platform. He always talks about having a platform, use his platform for good. He could have said, I didn't know what was in this movie. I could have used my platform better. At one point, he wanted to talk about, I have a platform for good, but then disavow and act like he doesn't have this platform. Like this movie is not also part of his platform. To me, that was where he messed up. But I think that was like the hubris of the media continuing to push it on him. What I don't like is how we upgraded him putting out this movie to now he has anti-Semitic beliefs.
Let me ask you this, Kevin. This is what he said on the original Saturday. And what I post does not mean that I support everything that's being said or everything that is being done, or I'm campaigning for anything. All I do is post things for my people in my community and those that are actually going to impact. Anybody else that has criticism, it obviously wasn't meant for them. If he says that,
I understand that, but he also, in previous things he's talked about the platform that he has, the platform that he used in
but what I'm saying,
George Floyd and other things. So I just want him to recognize the platform. I understand.
No, but what I'm saying is that at that point on that Saturday, he is basically saying, I don't have pom-poms on for everything in this film. He is saying that right then and there. And all I'm saying is that I don't know how genuine the reporters were in really caring about, oh my goodness, I'm losing it. I'm losing the plot. Caring about anti-Semitism, the real horror that it does, the real threat. Like Kanye posting old tropes about the Jewish community is dangerous because that is what got 6 million people killed in Germany. They control this, they're doing this, they're running this, and the Germans turned against them and killed them. So if I understand anybody in the Jewish community being, hey, don't start talking like this again, I get it. I respect it. But I don't feel like there's a search for truth for Kyrie. And I think that everybody has to take themselves and put themselves in other people's shoes. I would say that all my non-Black brothers and sisters, history in America has been devoid of Black Americans. And even when we're included, people like Martin Luther King, we get a bastardized version of their history. We don't even get the truth and the power of that person. For example, we don't teach about Black people in America properly. We don't teach about Africans and their history in the world. And that sends Black people who want to learn things on the journey Kevin was talking about. But I think people have to understand who don't have that problem because history has been lied to them and it's been catered to them. What that is like and how it can lead to what Kevin's talking about. You can find good information or you can find bad information on that journey. But the reason is because we are deprived of honest history when it comes to ourselves.
Yeah, you know what, Aaron, and I'll even add on to those areas where I think this becomes a lightning rod is religion and faith and the omission and misrepresentation of where ethnicity and even race would show up in the Bible. And so if you are a Christian and if you're studying the Bible and it will say that salvation came first for the Jews and then the Gentiles, and then a Gentile is anyone that is a non-Jew and the Jew is the chosen people, is connected to Israel. But then when you have man's systems and things coming in place, are you talking about a people based on ethnicity, or are you talking about a people based upon a religious choice and faith? And then that gets convoluted. And so now you get religion, and then in America, that same Bible being used to justify slavery. So the more that you know, it makes you start to see, well, there's some gaping holes here, and that you see how knowledge in America has been weaponized. Yes. So then it sends you on this journey. And I think because of who Kyrie is, it made it easy to attack him and go at him to the point where I felt like that it was excessive, that at some point it wasn't even about, hate speech and the re-traumatization for a group of people. It's like, we have him on the hook and we are going to go at him. And I think it's no coincidence that fever came at him coming right after Kanye.
Yes, absolutely.
It was the perfect storm. Yep. And so he is young. His mind is
hubris.
The other. He got hubris. And so then there was that initial kind of knuck if you buck, like, nah, I ain't going to be about that life. But then now it's, in order for you to come back, they denounced that they didn't want his $500,000 donation, and you got to sit down and meet with Jewish leaders in Brooklyn. And so it's like, okay, are you telling him he has to sit down to get indoctrinated and believe what he's being told? Or does he really get to sit down and start asking some questions that could really provoke a thought-provoking
Does he get to
conversation.
learn? Does he get to take some information and disagree with other information?
Yeah,
Does he? Is it a true exchange,
yeah.
or
And because I felt it was really harsh when it's like, oh, he is unfit to be with the Nets association.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about the Brooklyn Nets. Really?
Yeah. I honestly, I have no desire, because the Jewish community and the Black community have a lot of similarities. We're both marginalized groups. I have no desire. If you could take the most racist white person in America, I have no desire to try and educate him, to try and fix him, to try and give him the proper information. I'll debate him and show him how dead wrong he is all day long. But I have no desire to try and make him think what I think. And I don't understand the point in that.
And the last thing I'll say, so we can begin to wrap this segment up, when you think about news cycles and what role does sensationalism play in it, I am of the belief, and some people feel I'm wrong, this Kyrie story has gotten more pub than Nancy Pelosi's husband almost being murdered with a hammer while the man is bludgeoning him, saying, "Where is Nancy?" who is the Speaker of the House and counting the president is the third in line to run the country as we are heading into the midterm elections. And that becomes BC to this story. That just shows where we are as a nation.
Yeah. I mean, Kyrie Irving went to St. Patrick High School. We all know that in that little small private Catholic school that I believe they had to close, right? Are they open? Are they still open?
I don't know.
But we know that he didn't get any type of history about himself in any way. And Ron DeSantis, in his, just to illustrate the point, in his latest debate, said, "We are actually trying to teach our children that America was stolen." Yes,
that
Ron,
America was founded on stolen land.
Yes. Yes, Ron, it was. It was.
Yeah.
There's towns up and down Long Island named after that have Indian names because this was Native American land. Like, stop, Ron. Florida, the same thing. Like,
there's a website that you can put in your zip code, and it will tell you the tribes that
were in your area,
that occupied the area of the country that you were in.
I already know mine, the Lenape. One of the things that I want to point out, like, first, obviously, we are not anti-Semitic. We do not promote anti-Semitic behavior. We denounce all of those things. That's not what we support at all. If it sounds like it's support for Kyrie, we're just supporting Kyrie as far as justice is concerned. Like, we want some equality in kind of what you want from him and how he's going to be challenged.
We want earnest examination of what's really going on.
And so my greatest concern when I hear a lot of pundits and things talking out, particularly within our community, and they're like, "Oh, if you make comments and nobody's standing up for him in the NBA and everything," as a Black person, we know that we have a long relationship with the Jewish community as far as civil rights are concerned. And recently, there's probably I don't call it a bifurcated, but there's a bit of a difference. There's some challenges within it and it's probably along class lines where in the barbershop you will hear one type of conversations going on, and in more educated settings or more settings which is more you won't hear those things. So we all know that. And I know I've seen it where they started the Kyrie, he was wrong. Yeah, okay, yeah, I get it. He's suspended. Oh, wait, 5 games. Oh, now they're going too far. And then you hear comparisons. Well, how come it's not the same? Where's this equality? Are we proving him right? Is he proving Kanye right? Is a lot of what I've heard now. Because that you can't say certain things or you're going to lose your entire career. My greatest concern with this is because we don't always know, and within the black community, what is considered to be anti-Semitic, we might say some things might be said, and then pointed out, and be like, okay, yeah, I accept that. The same way that if you say something about me, for instance, if you say, shut up and dribble, I'm taking that as some racist trope because you're telling me that I'm nothing but a slave, and this is what I have to do. I wish that when we point out the things that we identify as racist, if everybody has the ability to say what is racist, I would appreciate the same type of energy, the same type of level of commitment for change, the same type of sanctions that occur when people do these things. Donald Trump offered some of these same tropes that Kanye said within the past 2 months. It was a little blip of a story, and then it just moves on.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's a person that got mental health problems.
And Nike dropped Kyrie.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to release the Kyrie 8s. So, the question would be if Jordan had sent that same retweet, would y'all just continue putting out Jordan?
No.
No. I mean, sometimes the bottom line can change minds. But we will continue to follow this story. I think to your question, whether Kyrie comes back as a Brooklyn Net, I think he's so talented. If he doesn't come back as a Net, he's gonna land somewhere.
He'll land somewhere at a much reduced price. It's a bad year for him to do it in his contract.
Yeah.
So now that the media went so hard, I'm gonna say now do Brett Favre. And I know you're gonna tell me, yeah, well, you did Brett Favre, you covered it and all that. No, Brett Favre was part of a scheme that sold over $77 million and impacted real people. I want you to interview those real people that were impacted.
And I had to listen to and I had to listen to Ryan Clark and Swagoo explain to me why they don't cover Brett Favre. Oh, I cover sports that are going on now. Like, stop, man. You cover all things sports at all times.
Yeah.
And the idea
and all things football at all times,
yes,
especially.
And the idea that Brett Favre should not be a story on ESPN is absurd. Absurd.
It took 8 months to reach it.
Yes.
And as we wrap for the media, please don't only ask black NBA players to speak out against Kyrie.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
my last point, I just want us to really be on a path to seek truth. And you know what? If we seek truth and we found that Kyrie's being anti-Semitic, then we should deal with that. But if we have an agenda to get a story, to get a scoop, to try and trap people, then we're not serving the Jewish community in any way. And we're not serving the overall society in any way. So once again, don't think that, let's have nuance here, which we always say on the show, so that we understand that doesn't mean that we stand for any type of hate in any way.
Yep. So we're going to take this to a high place so we can let you off with some love and some energy. Let's get into this Robinson report. What is giving you life?
What you got, man? You want to go first?
A is supposed to give the scratch. Like
I need to give the scratch. I'm sorry.
Oh, my bad. It's all right. It's all right.
Man.
Yeah. I apologize to him.
All right.
Fair point. You were right about that, bro. What's giving me life? Discharge paperwork for Long Island Jewish Hospital.
Yes. Keep it real.
I can't even front America. My Robinson report this week is going to be, because I've been cooped up in the hospital for the last 7 out of 8 weeks or whatever it is. I'm reading a novel called Wind by Harlan Corbin. Typical, I don't want to say disposable, good fun novel. but that got me through the time sitting in the hospital room. I'm sorry I don't have nothing more significant for you, but that's where I was and that's what I was doing. So I'm gonna keep it a buck.
Kev, what you got?
You know what? I'm gonna go with something ridiculous and funny. I don't know if it's funny, but since I was talking about Puff earlier, I'm gonna do one on Puff.
Stop.
I'm sorry, Sean Diddy Combs or
Love,
Sean
whatever,
Love, whatever
it is this week.
Whatever he goes on, right? So, Puff is about to become the largest black-owned cannabis company in the world.
So,
There were these two. There's these two companies that combine Cresco Labs and Columbia Care. They're merging, and part of the deal with their merging, they had to get rid of some of their They had to offload some of their territory or what have you. So Puff is working to sign an agreement to sell in New York, Illinois, and Massachusetts, and he's about to become the owner for I think about $185 million. So once the Cresco and Columbia, they do their merger, I guess that's when Puff is going to spin out his piece.
Puff, puff, pass.
Puff, puff, pass. Yeah. Puff the magic dragon.
So,
I don't know if that's life, but it is. we went from being grateful for being out the hospital to pushing weed. So only on my mic sounds nice.
and none of us smoke.
And none of us smoke. So
yes.
It is what it is.
And a couple don't drink.
Yeah. So it's like for what's giving me life. Last night, ABC had a special. Well, it was November 4th. They had a special setting up the release of the new Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Oh, I saw that.
On November 11th. And one piece when Robin Roberts was asking Ryan Coogler about Chadwick Boseman's legacy, and he began to cry. That just really gave me life, man. Just seeing how much that brother meant to that brother, and for him to just be vulnerable and even apologize, because he was crying and it took him a minute to get his words together, and Robin Roberts, like, there's no reason to apologize. That just touched me. We all Bison, so Chadwick got a special place in our hearts. And so just the anticipation of the movie, but not even just from an Afrofuturism standpoint, the fact that they're bringing in Mayan culture. And so you get to see what I would say is a cultural futurism, and these two cultures coming together, and just what the movie means, and then flashing back to what the first movie meant. Like that was giving me life. Like I cannot wait to go see this movie, not going in with expectations similar to watching other movies, but just I cannot wait to just
enjoy it,
just to immerse and just to see what can be done when you literally can make a movie with a blank check. Like, because Black Panther grossed over $1 billion. So now, and I know, you can appreciate this being a filmmaker, you can now make a movie where you have a culture that is underwater. Like, there are things that are in this movie that, it's like, yo, if you can dream it, we'll figure it out, and you can do it. And so just for that experience alone, that's what's giving me life. Like, just imagine being in a space where you don't have to worry about resources when you're dreaming.
Yeah.
So that's what it is for me.
No doubt. I'm looking forward to it also.
And plus Rihanna's singing and the soundtrack. So Riri's back. So yeah, it's all good.
Yep. All right, fellas.
And so,
Good
hey,
show.
great show. And I hope the Jets continue to win now that you're out, because you said 7 of the 8 weeks, past 8 weeks, you were in the hospital. And the Jets were 5-3 during that time. So I hope you ain't got to go back.
For them to win, right?
For them to win. You know, all sports fans are superstitious. So
No doubt. They were winning, Tim. I normally wear my Jets t-shirt during the game. I wouldn't put it on because they were winning when I forgot 1 week, and I haven't worn it since.
Exactly. So it's like, yo, this year they're 5-3, and the shirt is clean and freshly folded. Still smells like Downey. So it's
man.
Between that and the Giants being 6-2, so it's like, yo, our man in Bad Boys after Martin got shot and drove, he's like, now that's how you drive.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
So,
Let the good times roll.
Shout out to New York football, man.
No doubt.
Great show, brothers.
All right.
Yes. It's great to finally get back together. I know it's been a minute.
Yeah, no doubt, definitely. And so, this is Tim. My mic sounds nice. Peace.
This is Kevin. My mic sounds nice. Till next time.
Yo, this is A from the island. My mic sounds nice. Peace.